Just want to let you know from the outset, I've got I can't think of a better way to describe it other than just to say I've got a burden or holy restlessness, holy frustration, angst about something, and I think it's something that has impacted all of us, me included, and want to do our best just to navigate that a little bit over the next couple weeks, especially today. Before I do that, I just want to acknowledge I love summer. If you've been a part of Journey for more than about 7 days, you know that I love summer. And if you don't love summer, wrong church. Okay, there's another one somewhere. I love summer, absolutely love summer. And I don't like winter. The opposite of love, whatever that truly is, hate, I guess. I hate winter. Wrong state, I know. There are parts about fall, like I have this like love-hate relationship with, though, and maybe some of you do. Like there are parts of summer, it's like there is a part of me that when fall hits, I like some of the return to like a little bit of a rhythm and a cadence. The world seems to like slide back into a rhythm. I mean, you don't have to be in school to kind of sense that, right? There's just this rhythm that develops again. Things change pace just a little bit. I like some of what happens in the fall. I like football. I like being around those kind of environments. I like some of what takes place in all of that. There are things I like, but I remember as a kid, I liked some of the like getting ready to go back to school elements, right? Simple things like new notebooks, right? Like new notebooks and all of those kind of things. And some years, if you were lucky, you even got a new backpack, right? I mean, if you were fortunate, right? And I mean, and if it was the year to beat all years, you got a new lunchbox. Y'all remember that? I mean, that was like, okay, that was the pinnacle, right? And every year, because you're growing, when you're going back to school, like you had all these growing years and everything else, you would get new shoes. You know what I mean? Like, and super fortunate. And I remember one year in particular, late summer, and still really warm. I can still remember being in shorts and things. And my grandma, my grandparents helped out my mom a lot in the early years when it was just my mom and I. And my grandma was taking me shopping for shoes to go back to school in, right? And that was always kind of the deal. And I don't know about you, but even as a kid, like I loved the smell and the feel of new shoes and all that was, right? And so we're on the hunt and we're looking and we're kind of walking in downtown. I grew up in Battle Creek, walking downtown Battle Creek. We're in a couple stores and different things. And I remember, I still remember when we found them. And I mean, them. You ever not find the shoe and you're like, that's them. That's it. That is them. Grandma, that is the shoe. Now, we had lived, though, on like a pretty significant budget, and my grandparents were trying to help us out, but they lived on a really significant budget. Like, it's a tight budget, and things had to match up, right? But there were these green tennis shoes with these kind of like these white stripes on them and kind of this cool sole. And I remember looking at those. I want those. And Grandma figures it out. She asks, and we try them on. They have my size. They're inside the budget that Grandma has allotted for these shoes this year. And we go and we get. And I'm telling you, I love these shoes. I love these shoes. Now, it's everything I could do not to like wear them home, right? You want to wear them up. But when I got home, I put them on. And I don't know if any of you ever did this, but I was determined to sleep in those shoes. And if you ever do that, you're like, I'm sleeping in those shoes. You had kids, you're like, I'm sleeping in those cowboy boots, or whatever it is, right? Like, I'm sleeping. I love them. I just like these were the thing, right? So I have some good fall memories. Hopefully you have some good fall memories and all of those kind of things. But I do have this 16-year growing burden, holy discontent, holy angst, frustration around fall. And if I could just be vulnerable with you for a couple, and just tell you, like, here's what it centers on. Is that for 16 years, I've watched people, sometimes myself, I've listened to people, sometimes me, get really early into the fall after having a great summer and talk about how 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 weeks into fall, We're exhausted and we're overwhelmed, we're frustrated, we're short on fuse, we're out of patience, and we are clamoring for a break. And again, I've done it. I've listened to the stories. I've heard people. I've had frustration with myself. Candidly, I've been frustrated with others at times. Like, how are we doing this? And whether summer allowed a 2-week vacation or a 1-week vacation, or whether summer, like, listen, we live in West Michigan. Sometimes people go away for like 12 weeks. They just go, right? And they're staring at campsites and campfires or beaches or whatever else, but there is a common thread. Whether we go away for a day or 12 weeks, there's a common thread that so often we come back and we're like, oh, I'm so tired. I'm like, what did we do? What did we do? What did we do? I still remember one time sitting across a table in a coffee shop with one guy who he just looked at me and said, man, I just wish we could like stop church for the summer. And I'm like, you already do. You already do. And we're still having the same discussion, right? I'm like, what are we, like, how are we like really, and this isn't a come to church in the summer thing. Like it's not that at all. But here's the thing. I wonder how we get there. And I wonder if we could prevent it. Like, I wonder how we get there, and I wonder if we could prevent it. I wonder if, regardless of age or season of life, maybe we're retired and have all this freedom. Maybe we're right in the midst of work or parenting, or maybe we're a student. Or maybe we're entering a trade, or whatever it is, and we're like, hey, okay, look, I don't have lots of vacation. I've limited that, but how do I capture this in summer? One of the beauties of summer, right, is it just gives us a longer time in the sun. Isn't it great? Don't you just hate it when it's dark, like at 4:30 p.m.? Not the worst. I mean, like, give me a break, right? I mean, but man, when it's light until like 10:30, or whatever, it's like, life is good. Life, even if you're in bed by 9, it's still good, right? It's like, and we got all this, like, we have this, and we're trying to soak it up. We're trying to just treasure it for all it's worth. And what if we could experience something different? What if summer could go from really good to incredible? What if summer could go from this is amazing, this is a wonderful time, to this is amazingly influential in my fall? What if it could be great? Now, let me just, like, I know some of you are like kind of freaking out and you're like, John's got some like uber spiritual way to ruin my summer. I don't, I promise. I don't. Like, I'm going to give more to your summer, right? I really do want to help you win the summer. For the next few weeks, I want to help you win the summer. And the risk is that some of us don't see the need to risk or to win the summer yet, because some of us haven't recognized the pattern that so often we're in the fall. Like mid-October, we're like, I've got to get a break. I'm so tired. Okay. So here's you got to write this down, because it won't make any sense to begin with, but you got to write down. You got to absorb this, okay, and let this soak in a little bit. Here we go. To get us started a little bit, to win the summer, you got to ignore it first. To win the summer, you got to ignore it first. You're like, okay, he may not try and ruin my summer, but he's crazy. Okay, but listen. To win the summer, you first have to ignore it. Here's what I know. This summer, if everything goes as we want, you're going to have fun. You might already have fun planned. You're going to get away. You're going to camp. You're going to vacation. You're going to find whatever it is, right? It's going to happen. It's great, right? But just for right now, ignore that. Ignore that. Because to really win the summer, what would help us first to win the summer, really to give ourselves the best chance to have an amazing summer that also influences the next season, to have a really like life-giving winning summer that actually has this positive like momentum into the next season. To really, 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 really win the summer. Let's start by first, let's reflect on the last 9 months. Let's reflect on the last 9 months, and let's dream about the fall. Let's reflect on the last 9 months. Let's just skip over summer, and let's dream about the fall. Let's reflect on the last 9 months, like what are our wins, what are our losses? Maybe over here, we'll talk about this a little bit, but maybe in the last 9 months, what are just our, are unlabeled disappointments. If you've had 9 months of life, you've had some unlabeled disappointments. You just haven't named them yet. They haven't all been huge, but their disappointment's still the same. What are the wins? What's gone well? What's new? What's the momentum? Where have you laughed a lot? Where's it at, right? Let's reflect on that. And then let's just ignore summer for a little bit, whatever summer months mean to you, whether it's kind of that June, July, August thing, or whether it's May, June, July, August, September, whatever it is for you. Just ignore that for a minute and then dream about the fall. What do you want fall to be like? Who do you want to be in the fall? What condition do you want to be in the fall? When fall comes, listen, when fall comes, it will not only be what did we want to experience in the summer, it will be what condition do we want to exist in the fall. Okay, that's how we're going to win the summer. So just ignore it first. Now just dream about the fall with me for a second. Just start to dream a little bit. What could it be like? Where could we be? What could be happening? Who could I be? What condition? I want to just give you a few categories to dream in, I'll give you some seeds. I'll just plant some seeds, and you got to let them kind of be watered and grow a little bit. But maybe there are some things that when you think about fall, there could be more of. Maybe you could start to dream about, more energy, more enjoyment, more influence. What does that look like? Just some more. Say, when I get to fall, this year in the fall, I'm just going to have more enjoyment. I don't know exactly what all my circumstances will be. I can't guarantee what the condition of my job will be. I can't guarantee what the condition of my class will be or the team that I'm on or the group that I'm with. I can't control all of that, but I'm going to live summer in a way where I'm just going to ensure that in my core, I have more enjoyment. I've got more enjoyment. I've got more influence. I'm more aware of the influence that our family has and whatever we're engaging in the fall. And so this summer, I could think about how do we shape that and how do we live. There are some more things. And you've got more than just that list of more, right? You've got other mores that you could dream about. What about better? What if we just thought in the fall, regardless of what comes, I'm going to, as most as I can influence, I'm going to have better health and better pace. I'm going to have better health and I'm going to have better pace. I'm going to have better health in every way. Body, soul, and spirit, I'm going to have better health. I'm going to let summer be so amazing that it infuses better into me, that I capture better, that I grab a hold of better. Better health, better pace. And if we could just sidebar for a second, I really, for some of us, you're already thinking, John, I can't cut anything out of my fall. I got 9 kids and they're involved in 4 things each. Right? I can't do it. I can't cut anything out. Here's what I want to say to you. I really do believe there's a way, there's a rhythm of Jesus. There's a way of Jesus that is easy and light. There is a way of Jesus that is peace. And when we lose all of that, we have to step back just long enough to ask, have I lost the way of Jesus? Do I have any moment? So listen, what if we could infuse some better health and some better pace, and we learn that, and somehow maybe the schedule is just as full, but our internal pace is so different that external pace doesn't feel quite as heavy, quite as weighty. Maybe it doesn't feel quite as much like the dictator of life, but something that we're just in and we get to enjoy because we, with the help of the Holy Spirit, we have set the pace. We've set an internal rhythm and pace, a cadence with Jesus. What is? There's better. You have other things you want to be better in the fall. You want your marriage to be better, your parenting to be better, your conversation with your parent to be better. We've got all those things. That's all great. What if there could be new memories and new seasons? What if when you get to fall, you're celebrating all sorts of new memories and new moments? What if you're celebrating new seasons? And some of you, the season is forced on you, and some of you, you're going to make it. You're going to build it. You're gonna cherish it. We've talked about this a lot lately, just kind of where we are in life. Our girls are going away this fall. I'm not sure how the season is better come fall. The Lord's still helping me, right? But it's what is it? It's new. Some of you, it's forced on you, right? You're in a new school. You're going to a new school inside the same district, or you got a new job, and you didn't pick a new job picked you, right? And so you're okay, right? You're in a new season. You're in a new season of grief, and it's okay, how would this season be a season of healing for me? Because I'm navigating this piece of life and this element of loss. Just what could be new. And then just dream about things that could be less. Now, this is where we before I share this, we got to be okay. Like, we got to understand that we love each other, okay? Even if you're a guest here, for the next couple of minutes, just remind yourself that you love me. Okay, and I love you. Okay, a few things that we could do less. Maybe we could do less just surviving. Maybe we could do some less complaining, and maybe we could do less bragging. What would it be like if we could get to fall in the condition of our life because we won the summer could actually be where we did less just surviving, just like somehow getting by, hanging on, barely making it? What if that didn't have to characterize our fall? What if you could dream about a fall where you were walking and living with energy and vibrancy and joy? I'm just telling you it's possible. What if we could do less complaining and less bragging? Let's just push those together for a little bit here, because this is part of what we grapple with, right? I've done it, you've done, let's just own it together, okay? But we get to these pockets, right? And we say, hey, I hate this pace, or I hate that I have to do that, or I can't believe they're asking me to do this, or I can't believe they gave this much homework or that much, or I can't believe I have this many I can't believe, right? And we kind of complain about it. But in complaining, there's this way that our complaining is actually kind of like bragging. Look at how much we're doing, and look at how much we're living, and look at what all our things are, and look at, right? And so it's this awkward balance between, which one are we really doing, and maybe it's both. And look, what if we could get to fall and we just had less of that? What if we had less of that? Just what? Right? I mean, just imagine it with me, right? I mean, this guy Paul, who wrote so much of the New Testament of the Bible, he actually had the audacity at one point to write, hey, just do all things without complaining and grumbling. Right? Just all of them. Just all of them. I mean, so if it feels like too much, don't get mad at me. Get mad at the Spirit. He inspired Paul to write it. But imagine your fall marked by no complaining about the condition of things and the pace around you. Look, that's a dream, friends. You want to dream something big? Come with me and dream this. Right? Because this is not our pattern. And I just want to invite you, if you'll live this, you will be an odd duck in your world. You will, people will think you have lost your mind. They will ask you two things. You'll have to get to the second question, because the first question will be, what are you smoking or taking? The second question will be, is it possible it's Jesus? That's the one you're looking for, okay? It's that, just imagine if it could be like that. For those of us who are in the parenting mode or the grandparenting mode, imagine if we could start raising a generation that was that different and went that far against the grain of what everybody was kind of infusing in them. But let's win the summer. Okay, so how do we do it? That's just setting the framework here a little bit, and you're getting a little bit of kind of my holy angst, my frustration, whatever, just with humanity in general, with us, right? Especially with those of us as Jesus followers. Because I think too much of our fall after these checkout getaway summers, too much of our fall are marked by things that don't have any place being the dominant voice when we live as citizens of heaven and inside the kingdom of God. If you're here today and you're exploring Jesus and you're wondering, I just want to invite you to see the way we typically live it isn't the way Jesus created us to live it. He just has something better for us. He's got something better for us. His burden is easy. His yoke is light. His kingdom is marked by things like joy and peace. Right? And deep contentment, regardless of circumstances we might find ourselves in. So let's not allow ourselves to stay in a condition that seems to be losing peace and losing joy, and then wondering what happened. Let's at least know. Let's have a shot at it. Turn in your Bible to Genesis chapter 15, very first document in your Bible. Genesis chapter 15. We're going to look just a little bit at a story of a guy named Abraham. At this point in the story, he's actually still referred to as Abram, and Abram's got an amazing life. And a lot of his story starts in chapter 12. You get some of his family story before that. But Abram gets this really unique and compelling call from God, where God basically says, hey, Abram, I want you to be like the father of many nations. You're going to have some kids, and from one of those kids, they're going to have a bunch of kids, and then they're going to have a bunch of kids, and I'm going to build a nation through you. I'm going to build a nation through you, which sounds overwhelming and compelling, right? It's like, okay, how does that work and how does that happen and everything else? But that's what God promised him. And it took like some really bold steps of faith for Abram to engage in that. He had to move, like he had to leave where he was, which is really a place in life where his dad had just settled. Like there's like his dad just settled there and like, okay, kind of let the family get content and settle less than what God had fully intended for them. And he's like, okay, but I want you to dream something different. Like I want you to dream like forward. I want you to dream some movement here. By the time we get to chapter 15, here's the reality. This promise of God still doesn't feel like it has any traction. Abram and his wife Sarai, that later they'll become Abraham and Sarah, they still don't have any kids. They've got like a significant infertility issue going on. There's no kids. And so they're like, how do we live with this idea that God has a dream for us, but nothing's really happening? And they make some really bad decisions along the way in that, because it gets hard to have a dream and not feel like anything's happening. Like, it's just own it, right? All the people in the Bible who had a dream didn't necessarily walk the dream perfectly, friends. They got impatient sometimes. They got a little frustrated sometimes. They thought they were supposed to take it in their own hands. It happened. And Abram and Sarah, they did that a little bit on occasion too, multiple times. But we're going to pick it up in Genesis 15, and you can just maybe feel a little bit. Abram, maybe hope has faded a little bit. Maybe discouragement has set in a little bit. There's this grand promise. There's all this time with nothing feeling like it's happening. And then there's still this guy, Abram, and his wife Sarah. It's like, okay, what are we doing with all of this? And Genesis chapter 15, we really see God inviting them back to the dream, like to come back. And we get to learn a little bit about how to dream, like how to get a God-given dream. And look, if you want to win the summer, if you want to have a summer that's more than just cool events and activities and great, if you want to win the summer, you need a God-given dream for your fall. Because for most of us, our fall needs to be different. It just needs to be different. And it can be different. So there's a little bit of an anatomy of a dream in this thing. Genesis chapter 15, let's look at it. It's God and Abram in this conversation. It says this, after all this time, after some of these missteps and like attempts to do it on their own and all these things, after this, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. Abram's got this thing, God's speaking to him, and in this time it happens to come like in a literal like vision of this encounter with God. And God says this, Abram, don't be afraid. I'm still your shield. I was a shield when I gave you a dream years ago, but I'm still your shield. I'm still your source, and I'm actually your very great reward. Which is a little bit this. We should talk about this more another day, but it's a little bit this. I am your very great reward, which is really God saying, hey, Abram, I have a great dream for you, and the dream is not your reward. I have an incredible plan for your life, and the plan is not the reward. I have an incredible hope. I have an incredible future for you. I have incredible things for you to do, and none of that is the reward. I'm the reward. I'm the God of that dream. I'm the reward. I'm the reward. He's like reminding Abraham, because Abraham, what's he done? Abraham's got impatient in the dream. Like, we got to make this thing happen. We got to go. God's like, wait. That's not the reward. I'm the reward. I'm the reward. I'm the reward in that I give the dream. I'm the reward in that I help you with the dream. I'm the reward that I'm still there at the end of the dream. I'm the reward when the next, right? I'm the reward. So he's trying to just recalibrate Abram for a little bit here. And then Abram says, like he's really honest. I love this. Sovereign Lord, all reverence, all respect, all appreciation. But what can you give me since I remain childless, and the one who will inherit my estate is Eliezer of Damascus? And Abram said, you've given me no children. You've given me no children. What are we going to do about that, God? You've given me no children, so a servant in my household is actually going to be my heir. He's going to inherit everything I have. Like, great. And then the word of the Lord came to him again. God responds back, says, this man's not going to be your heir. Don't worry about it. But a son who is your own flesh and blood will actually be your heir. Here's the thing with God. God is not changing the dream or the plan. He's simply trying to recalibrate it. And what he's trying to help Moses do in the middle of the dream, and what he's going to want to help you do when he helps you get a dream about fall, which then will influence your dream about summer, like what he's trying to help in this thing is just to help him remember, like rehearse the truth, rehearse the truth. Rehearse the truth that God always has a plan. Rehearse the truth that God always has a plan. Years of infertility for Abram and Sarah didn't change that God had a plan. It didn't change that, not one bit. Years of frustration and financial hardship and wandering around and didn't change one bit. And you can be sure of this. Maybe you're like, I can't even hardly imagine living fall differently. And I dread fall. I love fall weather, but now I'm dreading it. I love a bonfire, but I'm dreading it. I love hoodies and short, but I'm dreading it. Right? Okay. And that's why. But what if we just rehearse the truth that God always has a plan? God always has a plan for your life. God always has a plan for your next season. God always has a plan for the moment that you are in. It's like, hey, Abram, just rehearse this truth. Rehearse this truth. Let's go on. The next verse. Just look at the next line of this thing. Verse 5. So he took him outside, like he's having this conversation, whatever their house would have been, this little hut or this, that, right? They've got this little thing. He says, let's go outside. And he says, now look up at the sky and count the stars. If indeed you actually can even count them. And then he said to him, that's how many your offspring are going to be. Abram, I know you're grappling with no kids after I promised you kids in a nation, but there's going to be one day you won't even be able to count how many people have come from your family line. You won't even be able to count your generations. You won't even be able to count the people in the generations. It's interesting to me. It's so simple, right? It's so simple. But did you see this little pivot in there? There's this moment with God. And he says, Abram, let's go outside. Let's go outside for a minute. I know we're having this like holy and sacred moment here, but just like step through the door. Just go outside for a minute. Just go outside. And in just getting outside, just in one little change of place, all of a sudden everything changes. Like, oh, this new sky opens up. God can use a new tangible picture for Abram. And sometimes to get the dream and to get fuel for the dream and then to get refueled inside of the dream, sometimes you got to retreat from what you're in so you can see what you could create. Sometimes you've got to retreat from like what you're in and the chaos for what you're in so you could see what you could create. And could I just say to you that as you dream about fall before summer, part of what we'll start to realize is that summer in part can become part of a retreat. Where we're doing more than just making memories and pass on a family tradition, where we're actually able to see what we could create in the fall. We're able to see what we could partner with God in his holy creativity to create. We're starting to see what partnering with him, what condition in our lives we could create that would help us live fall differently, that would, right? There's all of this potential. But it just takes a little bit of movement of place. There's a guy, he's an author and an incredible speaker and pastor named Mark Batterson. And he says it this way, it's just that if you can get like a change of place and a change of pace, that equals a change in perspective. Change place, change pace equals change in perspective. And did you see how long it was for Abram? I think it was like 30 seconds. I don't even think it was like a week of solitude in a monastery. Could be. It was 30 seconds. Like, hey, just step outside. Right? It's this moment, right? So what's it look like to get 5 minutes where you just change the pace and place to get a different perspective? What's it look like to take 30 minutes, right? Just because there's this, I was like, Abram, I got a dream for you. The dream is I still have a plan. And just to reacquaint with the plan and my good for you and my dream for you, let's just change the pace and place for a second. Just slow it down. And do you hear God like, hey, try and count the stars. And I wonder, like, we don't see it in the written translation, but I wonder if there's a pause. Okay, now go ahead and count the stars. If you can. Like, I wonder if there's this moment. But you know what happens if you start trying to count the stars? It's overwhelming enough that inevitably you're just going to slow it down. You're trying to count something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And everything else just slows for a minute. And you get a change of pace. You get a change of pace in your mind and in your own internal voice. You get a change of pace in your movement and in your thinking. You get a change of pace and even how fast your heart is beating and how impatient is growing. retreat from what you're in so you could actually see what you could create. And it's a pivotal moment for Abram. I think God wants to give lots of his pivotal moments this spring and this summer to help us win the summer so we actually had a head start in winning the fall, right? And look at verse 6. We're getting kind of a result of this thing. Verse 6, Abram believed, like he just put his faith, he put his whole life in God's hand. Just really, it's a moment of recommitment. Here's just everything I am. He believed the Lord, and it was credited him as righteousness. He put all his faith in God's like, even for this dream, and God's like, that's how we live in right relationship. Just put all your trust in me. I'm the reward. I'm the dream giver, and I'm the reward. Just put all your faith in me. That's how we live in step. That's how we live in rightness together. That's how we move through this thing. That's how we can set ourselves up to win. And really what we see Abram do and what we're invited to do, and this is like a story of God and humanity all throughout Scripture, is we rely on eyes of faith to see what as of yet has never been. We rely on eyes of faith to see what to this point has never been. For some of us to dream about really healthy, vibrant fall, not just full and active fall, but healthy, vibrant fall, we're trying to see something that's never been, candidly. Like if we just had a moment of honesty together. We're trying to see something that's never been. In part how we win the summer is we start to see something that's never been. And we start to actually believe that the God who gives the dream actually wants us to experience that. He wants us to experience like more of his peace and more of his joy and more of his pace and more of his help and more of... And get there, it's like, okay, God's got a plan, but I'm going to take some of this summer to let it be a retreat. But when I'm retreating, what do I dream that the fall might be like? What condition would I be in? Throughout this series, I want to be as practical as we possibly can. Like just for each other, I want to put as many handles on the cups as we possibly can. So I want to be just to help us. I want to give us a little framework. And this framework really is just to help us do this, right? To win the summer, ignore it first. To win the summer, ignore it first. To win the summer, ignore it. So let me tell you let me tell you some things you can do. Let me give you a couple questions and then a couple actions. Couple questions, couple actions. Here's the first question, just to start the process a little bit, right? Goes back to where we started. Over the last 9 months, what are my wins along the way? And what are my unnamed disappointments? And it says my, but maybe you'll do it together as a dating couple or husband and wife. Maybe you'll do it together as a family. Maybe you'll do it together as siblings or college roommates this summer when you're gathering, or you'll do it with some colleagues, whatever. It doesn't matter. You can do it in groups. You can do it on your, maybe you do it as a small group, whatever. But just what are my wins over the last 9 months? Let's really celebrate. It'll remind us God always has a plan. That's where we kind of get refresher on that. We get to rehearse it, right? But what are my unnamed disappointments? And then this question, it's a starter question. What do I dream about fall being like? And what condition do I dream of being in during the fall? Friends, some of us just got to take a flyer and start dreaming about what we envision our internal condition, our mind condition, our spirit condition. What do we envision ourselves being like as we stand in the middle of fall? If we anticipate and dream nothing, we will default to what it's always been. And for too many of us, that's been overwhelmed, looking for a break, bordering on burnout again, complaining and grumbling about what we're in, right? Let's just not go there again. Let's begin to dream about, hey, okay, I can already see some of that schedule and what I can't fully control, but who could I be in that? How could I be walking in the pace of Jesus, the rhythm of Jesus? What would that maybe look like? How could I be walking with more peace and protected peace? How could I be walking with more joy and protected joy? How could we collectively be walking in that? How can we navigate that? And let me just give you a couple actions. Here's the first one. Steal 30 minutes to list and celebrate those wins and grieve those previously unnamed disappointments. Steal 30 minutes. List them out. Steal 30 minutes. And I'll give you the other one right away and then just talk to you real quick about both of them. And then steal 30 minutes to dream about what could be and what you could be like in the fall. Just take 30 minutes. Now, here's what's really important. The key word of all of those things is the 2 times we use the word steal. Steal 30 minutes. Most of us aren't sitting here today and thinking, man, I really hope when I go to church today, I really hope John or somebody at Journey gives me something to add to my week. I've just kind of been thinking about how bored I am. My schedule's really too empty. I don't really have much going on. Nobody's thinking, none of you came thinking that. If you did, I got 100 things you could do, okay? So what you got to do is you got to steal the 30 minutes. You got to steal it. You got to go take it. You just got to go take it. You got to go find it on your calendar. You got to go find it on your family calendar, whatever, and you got to say, we're taking that. Even if there was something else on it, we're moving it. We're thinking ahead. We're dreaming ahead. We're partnering with God. We're going to take it. I'm going to take it. And collectively, over the next week or 10 days or so, it's 60 minutes. We can steal that much. We can claim it. Just to say, okay, what's it look like? To rehearse a little bit where we've been and see what God has done and let some disappointments heal. Name those disappointments, let them heal. And then begin to think about, okay, what do we want the fall to look like? Listen. To win the summer, you got to ignore it first. Let's go back 9 months, and then let's just skip summer and let's dream ahead. Let's go back 9 months, and then let's skip the summer, and let's dream ahead. To win the summer, ignore it first. Here's what I know. All things being equal, your summer is going to be tons of fun. It's going to be great, and it better be. I can't wait to hear some of your stories from the summer. I can't wait to share some. It's going to be great. I think it's finally going to get warm. I think we'll see the sun. I think it's going to be great. You're going to make new memories. You're going to get in water or campsites or some combination of both. Some will be smarter, and wherever you go, you'll stay in a hotel or a house and not a tent, but whatever, right? It's going to be good. It's going to be good. But before we get there, let's ignore it for a little bit. Let's ignore it for a little bit. So we give ourselves the best chance to win the summer in a way that helps us win the fall. Let's pray on it for a little bit. Jesus, we just want to try and be as practical as you are. I think sometimes you're just unbelievably practical with the experience you invite us to have with you. And I thank you that in these 2 30-minute blocks, you really do want to have an experience with us. And I pray that even now, for all of these people, both in the room and those online, that in these 2 30-minute blocks over the next 7 or 10 days, wherever we steal them from, Holy Spirit, I pray that we would be so amazed by how engaged you are with us. I pray that we'd be so amazed at how you want to lead us and you want to guide our thinking. I pray we'd be amazed at how much you want to guide our memory of the last 9 months and how much you want to highlight things that maybe we've forgotten about, things we didn't even have time to stop and celebrate, or disappointments we didn't have time to acknowledge and heal from. Holy Spirit, we trust you in that. You are our counselor and our guide. Even in our reflection, you are our great reward. And I thank you that, Holy Spirit, you want to shape a dream. You are the ultimate creative one. You are the ultimate dreamer. And you have infused us with yourself to help us dream about what you have said can be. It can be. So help us dream that with you. Help us literally, Holy Spirit, in both of those blocks, be so full of you, so infused in you, that we have this deep knowing sense that it is more than just our reflection and our dream. It's the same Spirit of the same living God that infused Abram with a great dream and then brought him hope when that dream seemed a little dim. We are grateful. You're the same God, the same Spirit. So we look forward to these 30-minute blocks with you. We anticipate them with great hope and great eagerness. In Jesus' name. Amen, everybody.